Alright, welcome everyone to episode 5 of Cold and Fluffy, with only the weakest takes and longest content in the Fluffy Hat Dota 2 League. I'm here after 2 weeks. It feels like it's been forever, um, but it hasn't. And I'm going to get into these games right away. There's not much to say on the prediction side. Predictors are dropping like flies, less and less every week. Accuracy also going down, so we'll not focus on that too much, I guess. Our big match of the week was Cryptic versus Yumi. I think it's probably the most interesting one in terms of two almost undefeated teams going up against each other. Got that one here. I haven't really looked at these much. This one's also 2 weeks old. This is, pardon me. This is when Captain's Mode was broken, so there's not really any drafts other than just the hero picks in general. But we'll take a quick look at them anyway. This does look somewhat stompy. We're seeing a Wyvern pick potentially very early. It wouldn't surprise me if Cryptic wanted to pick a big Meepo counter right off the bat to kind of dissuade it. We're seeing that Juggernaut pick up by Scroomlight, probably also very early. The hero's being super heavily contested in Fluffy Hat for good reason. It's doing quite well. Overall, it looks like a terrible Juggernaut game, which probably further confirms how early it was picked. It's obviously terrible against Ursa. I think it's pretty questionable against Beastmaster. It's not good against Wyvern. Yeah, we had the Yumi mid Huskar. Doesn't look like it went very well. 2 and 10. 10-minute armlet into 25-minute halberd. Probably had a good lane and then just didn't do anything. Maybe got killed. Also super bad into these heroes. This is like, Yumi's team is basically just the big duo core, super top heavy team. And it looks like their heroes here are just extremely countered. I don't know exactly how this draft went down. I don't know if Yumi kind of put himself in a bad position with his Huskar pick or what, but it looks overall pretty good from Cryptic. The mid Wyvern is super strange. Probably somewhat unnecessary, but can't complain too much, I guess. I don't know how late the Grim was picked. I feel like Wyvern 5 here would have been fine. But you know what? If Cryptic's playing at mid and he's not having the worst time, I guess that's fine. I guess my main concern here is that, to no surprise, it looks like Cryptic probably lost this lane quite hard. We could look at the exact numbers, but Wyvern's not a very good laner, and a hero like Huskar is going to abuse that. It's not as bad as I thought, to be honest. Yumi died twice somehow. Not even to Cryptic one of the times. Not as much last hits as I expect on the Huskar, but Cryptic did get pretty dumpstered. But overall the draft looks pretty solid. Yumi and Scrimlight's heroes are both giga countered. And when that happens, I think there's just no way they can win the games. Unless they're just outplaying the opponent super hard. Game 2, an even stronger Cryptic win it looks like. We have a Yumi mid Meepo and a Scrimlight Bristle, which is interesting. I'm really curious when this was picked actually. It's a very interesting pick. Looks like we have a pause 3 Alchemist and a pause 1 Razor, but they lane swapped. So that pause 1 Razor was in the off lane and the pause 3 Alch was in the safe lane. And is this now Divine Yolk Soup? It is. Big fan of the offlane Alch, pause 3 Alch, whatever you want to call it. I'm surprised to see the Cryptic mid win. Am I surprised actually? Well, let's look at the exact numbers here. I'm not surprised to see that Viper can shit on Yumi. Not on Yumi. I'm not surprised to see that Viper can shit on Meepo. But I'd expect Meepo to just kind of jungle. Looks like Cryptic got a kill. Made some rotations, got kills on other lanes. With the 3 kill participation, 1 death on Yumi. Yumi did catch up jungle pretty hard, but still, yeah, that's just definitely a lost lane. That's a big difference in gold and XP. So good on Cryptic for that, I guess. Meepo's not a good hero right now. This hero is not hard to counter. when this Yumi's I think still on the dumbass. If you don't pick this very specific Meepo counter, I don't care. Which is, it's fine to have confidence, but the hero is just not good enough right now. I don't think it's Meepo. I don't think it's Yumi's ability to play the hero. I think he's still very good at it, but the hero's just not good. Like when the hero's very good, you can play it into a lot of stuff, and it's like, yeah, you do need the very specific, very heavy Meepo counters and very good play, I think, to stop a good Meepo player. But I mean, the hero is just trash right now. I think it's way too easy to counter. Like the man basically just got dumpstered by a mid viper. It looks like that's not really a hero that screams Meepo counter to me. Neither do the other heroes really. There's not a lot of AoE at all. But it looks like they probably did pretty well in the laning phase. Once again, they have like this. Both cores look pretty countered. Bristle into Viper is super rough. I don't even understand how they managed to pick a Scroomlight Bristle without working in a Viper ban. Like, at what point did they pick this, I wonder? Like, I would, once again, with a super top heavy team, I would never want to pick Scroomlight or Bristleback if I wasn't able to immediately counter Viper, or have just countered Viper, or, banned it, sorry, not countered. If I wasn't able to just ban Viper. That seems a bit odd to me. Man. This Underlord looks like he got kind of thrashed as well. 9 minutes, Soul Ring Arcane. That's a lot of mana. I wonder how fast the Ags came out. Oh, I can actually see them. 15-minute Ags for the Pause 1. 26-minute Ags for the Rubik. So Yolk just farming those up. Got a Super Urn in there as well. And a Blink actually before the second Ags. So they didn't really have a ton of great Ags, I guess. I'm surprised they didn't give one to Viper actually. I think Viper Ags is very good, but I guess you do have to get it early, I think? I don't remember the exact details of that Ags, but I'm pretty sure it's quite good, right? There's something with the cooldown. I think the cooldown is most notable if you get it early. It drops it from 50 to 10 or 40 to 10 instead of 30 to 10. Well, it's a good upgrade either way. I'm surprised they didn't go for that considering Cryptic was kind of popping off. Maybe he didn't feel like he had the mana for it. He's got a pretty right-clicky looking build here. It's kind of just a weird build, but he definitely doesn't have a ton of mana to be spamming out Viper Strikes. Well, anyway, yeah, Yumi got dumpstered and dumpstered. It looks like. It just looks like Yumi and Scrimlight Heroes got countered pretty hard, and I'm sure Cryptic's team is also playing a lot better than Yumi's team. Like, I'm sure Yumi could still play Meepo into a team that doesn't know how to deal with Meepo, but, I mean, that's not going to be Cryptic's team. Of all the heroes that I think are going to be able to deal with a hero like a Yumi Meepo, I think Cryptic's going to be one of the best of that. It's literally just a bunch of support players. I'm sure they're more than willing to track him down. Although he did only have one death before 12 minutes. When does his second death come? It is pretty late, but he had a pretty bad start, so yeah, I don't know. And Scrimlight's once again mega countered. Like not even as countered as last game, but like you're into Viper, and that's just hell. Yeah, yikes. Next one is Yelp versus Luth. This is one I thought would be a little more even, but Yelp ended up taking home, I think, somewhat convincingly. The graph here looks somewhat convincing for sure. You can actually look at the draft on this one, which is most of what I do in these videos. We see that Bibleman Nightstalker coming out. Looks like he had a pretty good game. Pretty wild item build, honestly. This is kind of bizarre. The fast S&Y with a shard in there somewhere. Then Ags. It seems odd to me. I mean, I can't tell. Bibleman's definitely the kind of player that seems to do lots of weird shit. So I'm not sure if this is him doing weird shit or is this some like new meta build I've just not seen. It seems kind of weird, but like, there's no mana item for starts unless there was an urn he sold at some point. I'm not gonna look too deeply. But anyway, they picked that quite early. They picked this. What's his face? The Biggie Oracle. A classic from them. There's two Oracle players in this game too. Woe, well-known Oracle player as well. It's actually Woe's most played hero, not Biggie's. So that's going to be a highly contested hero. I believe I saw Woe playing it game 2. We see the Wraith King in response to the Night Stalker. I suppose I can't complain too much about that. I don't think anyway. I don't think Wraith King cares about Night Stalker, so that's definitely something. We see a Phoenix ban. That's a little odd, actually. Why have they banned a Phoenix? Oh, I guess for Battle God. It's a Battle God Phoenix ban. A DP ban. The DP Puck Alk all seem just like pretty normal things. Those make a lot of sense to me. Whereas I think the Dire bans are more player focused. Like, I think those are all just aimed directly at Battle God. The Phoenix Visage Pango. See Scrub Tiny pickup with a Fishay Sand King. In theory, I think that should be a strong lane, but it is going to depend who they're laning against, and it looks like they ended up laning against Timbersaw. Right? No, I'm insane. They did end up laning. They laned against Troll and kind of Blackout. This Blackout was wandering around a lot. I'm surprised they lost that lane. I mean, Troll's a good laner, and I think Tiny's a hero that's been falling off, but I'm surprised Scrub and Fishay in particular weren't able to win that lane. I don't know. Maybe Scrub bad. I think he said he had a rough week in terms of zone play. Either way, let's keep moving. We have a Grimstroke pickup, which is somewhat generic. This team really lacks hard lockdown, but they do have some alternate crowd control with the AoE silence and the Grimstroke entire toolkit. The Timbersaw pickup is really good, I think. It's kind of bad under Witch Doctor, but it owns the 3 strength heroes. Sand King and Tiny as well. They do have a lot of magic burst to potentially deal with you. Like, it's definitely a game where you can deal with the Timber, but it's a pretty good Timber game. He can kill you just as easily, or even more easily than you can kill him, I think, in theory. At least with the picks so far. The Viper changed it up a bit, at least, I think. We see a Leshrac ban and a Meepo ban. I think both aimed at Battle God again. The Meepo confuses me a bit. Then we see an Ursa and an AM ban. Both pretty reasonable. Yeah, I'd ban both of those as well, I think. Troll pickup, pretty reasonable pick. And then a Viper. I honestly really don't hate the Radiant draft. Personally, I would not mind playing this draft against Dire's draft. I think they have decent tools to deal with the Timber. They have a lot of magic damage, even if they have all those strength heroes. They have a lot of kite for the Troll. Tiny, a bit of an underestimated Troll. Not counter, but I think underestimated against Troll. Being able to toss him back is quite nice. Having as someone that plays both those heroes, you kind of forget that the hero just fucks up your ult very hard. Bible Man Night Stalker is always scary, of course, but even then, I don't think they care too much about a Night Stalker here. I don't think their heroes care a whole lot. No, it's me. I think this is probably just outplay by the ops team. This doesn't really look like an outdraft to me. I'm seeing a very strange Viper build here. Dragonlance into Maelstrom from Battle God, a really weak store too, 1 and 5. I don't actually really get this. I think I looked at this a bit because I looked at Scrub's games in particular on the night of. And I understand if you wanted to go for a fast Hurricane Pike, given the heroes on the enemy team, the Troll and the Night Stalker. But he didn't do that. He just kind of got a casual Dragonlance, which seems like not really a thing you want to do. This lane loss seems very questionable. These blinks aren't too badly timed, but the Troll probably got too much out of lane. 14-minute Battle Fury is very solid. 23 minutes in, he's got his core items basically. Just looking for a Basher and then Luxury. Yeah. Scrub kind of died right away here. Luth with a holy crap, dying really early, really fast. I don't think that should happen. Yeah, honestly, I don't dislike the Dire draft. I just think it lacks a bit in lockdown. And I feel like Radiant Draft is okay. I mean, I like the Troll. I think the Troll has the potential to do a lot here. I always like Troll, but I think this is a game in particular where it's like, I think you're pretty decent against the Wraith King. I think you're pretty good against the Viper. The Sand King and the supports are a little annoying, but nothing you can't deal with. I don't know. It looks like an even draft to me. So shout out to Yelp for playing better, I guess. All right, game two. Game two. We see the Woe Oracle this time, which I was aware of. We see a Pango pickup. Oh, I think this is actually, this isn't Battle God. Maybe, I think they both play it, but I think Fishay is a bit of a Pango player. I think he played it in Fluffy Hat at least. We're seeing an AA this time, which is a bit weird. I don't, I don't think the hero's that great right now, is it? I mean, it has a nice win rate apparently. I don't think it's that good as an Oracle counter either. Like the heroes just kind of counter each other. Like if that was the idea here. I feel like they just counter each other, so it's like moot. You don't really want to. I don't know. Well, moving on, we see the Pango pickup. We see the Bibleman Night Stalker once again. Very different build this game. Um, very different scoreline too. Let's just keep going. We see a Wraith King ban, which is interesting. Because they were the one that's. I think they've been picking a lot more Wraith King than Yop has. But I might be misremembering. We see the Phoenix ban once again, the Void Spirit ban, 2 Battle God bans, and a Luth ban with the PL. I can understand why they wouldn't want to play against a PL. The heroes they have, especially if they were planning on picking the puck, I think they probably just lack scaling damage against a PL if they're afraid of these games going late. We see a Tusk pickup for Scrub. The hero is very popular right now in high MMR. And we see an Ursa into these 4 heroes. And then okay. Meepo, still don't, I swear this guy doesn't play much Meepo. Leshrac, we see 2 cores that I guess can deal with Ursa. I mean, Troll can definitely deal with Ursa. I don't know about Monkey King, to be honest. But I don't hate it. I mean, the hero's pretty good, I guess. Maybe there's like lane concerns with the Monkey. But then we see a Dusa pick, which is super fucking weird. I have no clue why they picked a Dusa here. This makes 0 sense to me. Yeah, it just seems dumb. I don't know. And then they get AM'd, which is like really questionable into the Ursa, but the Ursa had a really shit time. 19-minute Battle Fury is super bad. Just kind of died, I guess. Oh, well, that's all about. I guess these are like nighttime deaths. Maybe just stood in lane against the Night Stalker too long. Stood in lane after nighttime. Yeah, alright. This Medusa pick is whack, man. Like, what do you do with this? Like, what does your lineup do? You just sit around and farm. You don't really do anything. The AM eventually came online, and he's so ahead of the Ursa here. Doesn't really care about the Ursa. Destroys the Dusa, obviously. Yeah, the Dusa is like a grief pick. I actually don't know what they were doing here. Ursa also losing the lane quite hard, I think, with a 19-minute Battle Fury. Yeah, it's really rough. 5 minutes after the AM. It's rough. It's rough. I don't think this was a very good showing from Luth's team at all. A pretty nice showing from Yop's team overall. They're doing the I like the way that they're swapping around the heroes and the roles. Where you have Eno mid one game, you have Yop mid the other game. It's nice flexibility, opens up the drafts a lot. It's pretty solid. I guess I should be doing this tier list thing. I keep forgetting about this. I think Luth staying down here is good. I think Yumi staying down here is good. They both lost to the S tier teams. We're just going to keep them there. We'll definitely be doing some changes B through C though. Because I think a lot of things have happened here. But anyway, moving on. My game, Poggers. My game 1 was decently close. How should we start here? I mean, you can look. I think we had a pretty good lead. We came out with a very early lead too, in my opinion. A pretty strong lane lead. We did almost throw the game very hard here. We end up losing a Rax plus for it. They briefly even gained a gold advantage, like a 10k throw almost. And then we managed to win anyway, which was nice. And thanks to yours truly, to be honest. But we'll look at the draft, because that's what we do here on Cold and Fluffy. We talk about picks. I basically just read out the picks and then give a verdict. It's very low quality content, really. I don't know why you guys are watching this shit. But we see two Wolf's focused bands. I think our idea of this team is that it was very Wolf centric. Wolf's I think is arguably the best player in the league. I know it's a very personal take. Harb's is obviously a contester for that. I wouldn't necessarily say Wolf's is better than Harb, but Wolf's is very good. And although I think he has some other good players on his team, the supports are just fine. I think I have a pretty high opinion of Evan, and their offlaner seems okay. I don't really know him personally. The play honestly wasn't super impressive, but it wasn't terrible. But we're still like the thing we're really scared of was Woffs. I think we felt more confident as a team overall, but we just didn't want to get styled on by Woffs overperforming, which I think he does very often, very hit or miss player. So we just banned a bunch of Woffs heroes. We first picked a Shaker. They pick a Puck. We pick a Wraith King. I think these are pretty normal up until this point. We probably focus Wraith King more than other teams, but our MMR distribution is a bit weird, so we do that for a reason. They pick a Snap, which is a bit weird to me, but I think that might be a comfort pick. Probably, yeah, looks like comfort pick, so no complaints. Decent hero. We ban Monkey. Why did we ban a? I think we thought there was the potential of a Brent pause for Puck, and we didn't really want to play against Void Spirit, so we banned Void Spirit. We banned a couple strong carries that I think thought were particularly strong against Alchemist. They ban. I think the Arc Warden ban was because Wolf wanted to play Arc Warden. I think that is a spite ban. And the Viper and the Mars, I don't even entirely know why they banned a Viper. I guess because they were planning on picking Bristle. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Probably should have seen that one coming. But anyway, they ban a Viper because they want to pick Bristle. And they ban a Mars. Probably at least in part because it's one of Lava's better heroes. I'm also a kind of a fan of playing it into Bristleback. Because of the way that you can flip him around with the spear. And anyway, so then they pick that Bristleback. We end up picking a Lion because sucking Bristleback in lane is funny, even though they end up lane swapping, so I didn't get to do that. Kind of sad. They pick a Phoenix. We decide a somewhat risky pick of the Storm. Their 3 through 5 is majorly lacking in lockdown, which is it's always questionable. I don't think you ever really want to look at your 3 through 5 and say, damn, we have no stuns, unless you have a very specific game plan. The Puck is obviously very scary against the Storm, but we decided to big dick it and give Snowstorm the Storm Spirit. Snowstorm. We ban Ursa Ricky. Ricky, one of the few heroes that brings, I think, or one of the few pause 1 heroes that brings good lockdown against Storm. Ursa, I don't know. Ursa dumb. No like you, Ursa. We then pick a Doom. They banned Timber. We definitely were considering Timber. They banned Sanking, which is a bit of a comfort hero for Lava. We end up picking the Doom. Not a hero you see very much nowadays. At least not that I've seen. I haven't seen it in ages. I think it's the first game I'd seen it in months. Lava likes the hero. It was like okay, I think. It's pretty good against the Phoenix. If you can doom him before Egg. Obviously very good against the Puck if you can get a doom off on him. Although that's a bit trickier. And then they wrap it up with a Troll, which is a pretty solid pick. Can't complain. I definitely would rather have played against a Troll than a Ursa or a Ricky, but good hero regardless. And yeah, I felt pretty comfortable with the draft. I definitely think there was the potential for them to win. Like, I don't think it was much of a draft win necessarily. It was just kind of okay. There was a couple interesting things that I think really worked against their favor. The first was the top lane, which we won pretty convincingly. I think pretty much our entire early gold lead or early gold lead was just top lane. With Doom 2k ahead of Bristle, just free farming with Devour. The Bristleback went this like bizarre no goo build. It didn't get goo till level 9. I feel like this hasn't been a viable build since they removed tri-laning. Although I've heard that's coming back, but that's another story. Like I don't really think this has been a build you can do on Bristle, or you should do at least on Bristle. Ever since you were like in the 2v2 situation, like maybe back in the day when you were 1v3 and you just needed to survive, this was something you did. But like I feel like if you just went goo early, this Doom would have been in a lot of trouble. Doom notorious for having low armor. Could have very easily been killed, I think, by the combination of the snap and the bristle. But goes for the super passive build, does nothing in the lane, just doesn't have a ton of impact in the game overall, which I think was a bit of a problem. That's probably like the biggest thing in the early game. Because the rest of the game was just, I think we probably played as a team a bit better, but I don't think there was nothing specific that stood out. I ended up catching wafts. That's how the game ended up ending, but I don't know how avoidable that is necessarily. I don't know how that looked from their perspective. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with that game for the most part. There was like a couple annoying bits where we threw, and I think the fact that we kind of had advantage in the early game that we really shouldn't have had makes it I don't know, not like we didn't necessarily deserve the win, but makes you question the draft a little more, I guess. Someone that always likes looking at the drafts, like I don't necessarily think we picked winning lanes. Like I think we picked a losing lane mid and somehow didn't lose the lane mid. I think their lane swap should have worked very well, and it didn't because the bristle just kind of didn't do the bristle thing. So I think this could have gone very downhill for us if Wafts and Seven played a bit better and won their lanes like I think they probably should have, but they didn't. So anyway, game two. Game two was rough. Game two, they picked the Arc Warden. Wafts, I don't think was a great Arc Warden, and it was not a good Arc Warden game. This was insanely one-sided. I don't even know how much I want to go through this one. We pick the Shaker again. They pick the Snap again. They take a Rubik this time. I think probably just to steal Fissure is the main idea there, and probably a good hero overall. We pick a Bounty because I wanted to play Bounty. We pick a Wraith King because we always pick Wraith King. We banned a bunch of heroes that are good against Wraith King. They banned the Viper once again, and then the Storm we played last game, and the Mars. Lava's Mars again. They pick a Tide. A lot more lockdown on the supports this game. I think this like foundation of 3 through 5 was a lot better from them this time. But they do throw that down the drain very quickly here. We picked a DK because Lava wanted to play DK. They pick an Arc Warden because the Wasps wanted to play Arc. I don't think it was a very good Arc Warden game at this point. We were considering banning a PL, but we thought that'd be way too greedy for them, so we banned out Slark, because I think this was an incredible Slark game for them, and we banned out Ricky. Just because I don't think it was like a strong reason, it's just like this hero is kind of annoying, and gives them like a somewhat active pause 1 to make up for their greedy mid laner. They end up taking the PL, which we didn't want to ban because we thought it was too greedy. We didn't think they could pull it off if they did that. We pick an Ember, which is very good against the PL and is apparently very good against the Arc Warden, which I didn't know until not today, I guess, but Wednesday when we played the game. Apparently that's a very good matchup. I don't know, we just kind of ran them over. Their lineup was too greedy. They lost the lanes, which makes it even worse. Then we just snowballed very hard. It was even like we had a bigger lead out of lanes this game than the last game, and they have no way to play early game at all. They have no active cores really. Like Tide can show up and Ravage, but there's no follow up from the 1 or the 2, or at least no good follow up. They probably could have played it better and just made the most of it. But I mean, obviously, we can always play better. We're in Fluffy Hat League. It's not TI. There's always ways to improve, but this is definitely a very rough draft for them. Um, I would feel comfortable calling it a draft loss. But anyway, shall we move people around on the tier list at all? What do I have right now? Us is F. That's good. The question is, should I be moving Brent down for this? I don't know. I think he's fine there for now. I think these are the ones that I really need to reconsider. So let's have a look at those games, shall we? Because next up is Maniac versus Harb, and this one definitely is going to need some changing. There was a stand-in for Mappo. It was Welshie, who went off game 1, 8-0-16. I wouldn't say they necessarily carried this game, though. I don't think you can really complain, given that they are 30-6. Let's take a look at the draft first of all. We see the Snap Fire. Why do all the Dota U people just play Snap? Kind of a thing. Is that like is it fashionable to play Snap in Dota U? I swear they like all play Snap. We see the Snap pick. 2 Harb focus bans from Maniac, Void Spirit, a Reedy ban, I think, and then a Witch Doctor, an Arisia focused ban. So anyway, Snap, we see the Maniac's Skywrath come out. A little surprising to see the Witch Doctor banned over the Skywrath, but it looks like it worked out for them. We see a Juggernaut pickup for Harb. Pretty safe pick, I think, for Harb. He doesn't have to worry about all his heroes getting banned out. I honestly think Jug would have been a better ban than PL and AM. You don't want to pick a PL or an AM in that slot, but Jug you can do. They then pick a Troll Warlord for Chairman Meow, PJ. Oh, I guess what's his face? Nomad wasn't here today. So we have Chairman Meow standing in, playing the Troll Warlord. We see a couple offlaners, a couple mids, and a Nyx banned out. Nyx Against the Sky, pretty fair ban. The Slardar is Jug specific. I think the Ember Spirit is Reedy specific. The Brewmaster, don't entirely know. Might be a Welshie thing. Is it in your top 5? It is. Alright, it's probably a player specific ban. We see that Axe pickup in an attempt to counter the Juggernaut. Marana for Mothman, which is a little weird. Definitely not a hero you see a lot of, but one they've decided to pick. I think it's especially strange in combination with the Night Stalker that they pick after this Shadow Shaman. That seems like a very questionable support duo. Or not a support duo, but offlane duo to me. Maybe a questionable support duo too is really lacking on, once again, good CC. Like, I don't really know what happens in the lane here. They apparently won that lane somehow. Maybe just some like god tier arrows, but there's no way to set up the arrow. They all have to be YOLO'd. You get like the slow, I guess, but that's not great. I don't know. Maybe the plan was just to move around at night with the Moonlight Shadow and just have a lot of vision control, but I do think it's a little questionable when you don't pick much lockdown. More bans, Monkey King, Racer, probably to protect the Night Stalker, I think. I imagine is what those are aimed at. That's kind of weird. I think you would expect this troll to be safe lane. Maybe they thought it was going to be a mid Monkey or mid Razor. I mean, they picked this DK, I guess. So I guess they were planning to pick the DK all along. Didn't want to get bounced by a mid Monkey or a mid Razor, I guess. Didn't ban the OD though. Wait, no. Hold up. I'm looking at the wrong team. What am I doing here? They banned? Hold up. We had a bit of a brain fart moment. No. It's Maniac's team that's banned the Monkey and the Razor. That doesn't make much sense either. I guess maybe because Super doesn't really play mid. They're just banning heroes he could play mid, I guess. On the other side, we see a Storm and a Wind Ranger ban, which make a lot more sense. We see the DK pickup. I think it's got to be a comfort hero. Because I don't I don't know if it's. Yeah, I don't know. I think this has to be just some player comfortability. I don't think it's a bad pick. It's just a bit of a strange pick. Maybe watched the anime, felt inspired. Um, Not a hero I see a ton of. I don't think it's necessarily bad against these heroes. I don't think it's necessarily good against these heroes either. It's just kind of there. We see an Alk pick up, which I despise. I really hate the mid Alk. It's bad against the DK. He has all that armor. At least I think it's bad against the DK. I could be talking about my ass on that one, but you're a very physical focused hero. DK is a I do not take physical damage hero. Yeah, I really hate this Alchemist pick. I don't know what it does here. They have that Night Stalker with that fast Spirit Vessel. They have like, mid Alk's just bad. I don't know why they've done this. The man's DP is still in the pool too. I don't know why they didn't just pick him the DP. He went off on that before. Pretty good looking DP game. I do not know why they picked an Alchemist. This is super weird. Kind of scuffed, and then it looks like they lost their lanes. Troll got dumpstered. 0-5, 20-minute Battle Fury. That's terrible. PJ letting the team down on the stand-in role. Yeah, man, this is a rough one. I hate the Alk pick, and it looks like there's definitely play problems as well. It's a stomp. You'd expect there to be both, but it does seem very apparent. All right, Nomad is back now. Watch the end of this game. Bloodseeker. All right. See the Jug bans for the AM ban this time. They have 8th pick, so they end up picking an AM, which is kind of funny. They pick Lich and Lina. Another Mirana for the Mothman. Mothman may just be feeling Mirana. That's probably why they picked it, I guess. He's going Ags, which is odd. I don't think that's good, but maybe I'm missing something. It's kind of weird that they've chosen to leave in the PL, or Lu's chosen to leave in the AM. They picked supports that are incredibly bad against AM. If they had second pick again, I think it would probably be okay to just like lock in the Lich, and there's no way Harb picks AM in the 7th slot. But surely this was somewhat predictable. 8th pick AM, very good against the supports. Harb very good at the hero. We see a Night Stalker ban after they got bonked by it game 1. Brew ban because he plays the hero. Viper ban cause I guess. We see a lot of AM focused bans as you would expect. The PA, the Ursa, and the Slardar. And then an Ogre pickup. And an Axe pickup to attempt to counter the AM. I like that in theory. It doesn't look like it played out perfectly, but I like it in theory at least. I think it's a solid pick. They don't have any saves for the call. We see a Sand King, which is just a bit generic. Definitely don't dislike it. Never go wrong with a Sand King, but it's not super interesting. Then we see the Bloodseeker, which is very interesting. I can't say I like the pick because I'm not personally a Bloodseeker believer, but at the same time, I can't really hate it too much. I've been seeing more of it, and the hero definitely looks better than I think it should look almost, but I don't entirely get the point still. I thought that AM can still outblink rupture damage with the talent, which is one thing to keep in mind. What was his build as well? Because these aren't telling a full story, I think. What was the full build? What was the real story? Okay, we saw the very early Veil, Yasha, Basher, then BKB. Seems like a pretty solid, I think, build. It's a little weird. But then we see, this is why it looks weird, is because then that early Basher gets turned into Abyssal, and the Yasha gets turned into an SNY, which makes the timings look funny when they really are quite normal. Okay, that's fair. Early Abyssal against the AM, solid. We'll finish off the draft, I guess. DK ban, Monkey ban. I think these are just aimed at Supra, personally. Then they pick a mid Tiny, which I think is fine. Can these heroes man fight the AM? That's kind of the weird thing here. I think most pause ones can man fight AM, but I don't know if Bloodseeker's an exception to that or not. Tiny definitely doesn't really want to get too close to AM. Really, unless he's bursting him. He's just gonna get all his mana burned. You don't really build right click on that hero anymore, other than the bursty right click. We see a Razor pick. I guess an attempt to counter the Tiny. Doesn't look like it worked very well. 17-minute Yules versus a 9-minute Blink. Even though, I mean, he's upgraded his treads, but still, that's a massive difference. This Daedalus Rush is super strange, Daedalus into BKB. That seems kind of monk-ass, but I don't know why you wouldn't just go the Echo first. And obviously things started going downhill, so they never got the BKB completed. I mean, I dislike the support picks. I don't like the fact that they pick these heroes that do nothing against AM, when there's a very high chance of an AM being picked. I think that's just not thinking ahead enough. I kind of like the rest of them, though. The Bloodseeker's a little weird to me. I feel like I'd be more inclined to pick something like a Ricky or a Troll Warlord for sure. I'd love a Troll Warlord. But I can't hate it too much. I guess. I'd definitely rather see a Troll, but I feel like this is probably my own personal bias. Because I feel like I probably do underestimate Bloodseeker. Because I don't really see the purpose of picking it other than against very specific heroes like Pango. But, whatever. Whatever. I kind of like the Tiny pick too. Uh, I think the heroes are pretty solid mid. Although, this game didn't go great, it looks like. 12 kills isn't bad, but a lot of early deaths, which is not great. A lot of pre-20-minute deaths. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is probably just outplay from Harb's team. And well, she didn't go off this game either, so you can't really complain about stand-ins. Looks like Harb has had a great AM game. Probably better than he should have. Like, even with the questionable supports, like, you still have the mid and the 3. Like, your cores can get on this AM. The supports can still follow up. You can still follow up with the Light Strike Array. I think they definitely could have won this game if they played better. You can always say that with games of this caliber, but I think even with the skill the players factored in, I think if they worked better as a team, they probably could have won this game. And it does look somewhat close, 33-40. They took at least one T2, but AM eventually got online. They didn't really shut them down enough, and then they just lost the game, I think. So, Big F. We're gonna have to make some changes to the tier list here. Grief for Madness, I think, is going to, unfortunately, to move down here to the C tier. And with another good performance out of Harb, I'm a little cautious to move Harb up. Most of his wins have come while having a stand-in, which is always a little suspect. It's because it's not only, even if the stand-in isn't carrying, it's like, I don't know. You're playing less with your team as a whole. Teamwork's obviously importante, but I don't know. Maybe they're working things out here. I almost feel like they maybe got a bit more comfortable with the way they're drafting and working around their players. Like, they're picking Mothman this Mirana, and he looks like he's having crazy good games on it. They're making this lane swap work a bit better. Supra didn't have a great game here, but they're at least, I think, doing okay on picking him heroes. That at least makes sense in an objective sense. So, yeah, we'll move him up. We'll ignore the stand-in thing. We'll put him in the B tier. We'll move these guys around. Alright, and then we'll be moving around some more people too, because up next we got Barrel versus Cats. And Cats won, much to many people's surprise, I think. Not Scrub, though. Scrub had it down. Not that he made a blog, he had to PM me those. He PM'd me right before the games. Okay, I swear I'm going to disband. Very rocky looking game here. Pretty big disadvantage in the early parts of the game, and then they bring it back. I think this happened game 2 as well, didn't it? Well, sneak peek. Because I think I watched part of game. I watched a lot of game 2. It was a very similar trend. We see the early Grimstroke pick. We see the Spirit Breaker pick. Phantom just slaps down the Mag PA. No fear. Jug's banned this time. No cares. It's definitely a kind of a rough PA game in my opinion. You've got the double BKB piercing ultimates on the support duo, which are rather annoying. So they end up losing this lane as well, but let's move on. We see a Clink span. They fear the Weeb Slayer. Ember, Storm, just all aimed at Weeb Slayer. Phantom's already picked his hero. They're just going for this mid here. On the other side, see a Razor, a Weaver, and an Axe. Axe, very specifically for PA. Weaver, I'm not sure whether it is or not. Is that a PA counter, or is this just a hero they think is going to be a problem overall? I'm not sure. And a Razor ban, which seems fair as well, I guess. Where would this Razor go? Safe lane or off? What are they scared of exactly? I'm not sure. Maybe scared of getting off lane Razor. That seems somewhat fair. When your games are all on the back of, or largely on the back of Phantom, you definitely don't want his lane getting cheesed. So, I guess that's fine. I feel like current era of Dota, I'd be more scared of a DP off lane than a Razor off lane, but that's fair. That's fair. I think Razor's probably a lot better in the fights against the PA as well. And we see a Sand King pickup, as I mentioned in the previous series. Just a good hero in general. Just, I think, a bit of a classic fallback. If you need to pick an offlaner blind, you can just kind of pick Sand King. We see Puck, which is sort of the blind mid pick option. I'm a little surprised they've chosen to walk in the Puck and not. Are they scared of the Puck getting stolen? That's probably the reason, actually. I was gonna say they've already seen the safe lane. They could have just locked in their offlaner if they wanted, but they choose to go for the Puck. But they may have been expecting a 17th pick Puck. I don't know. That'd be a little weird to last pick a support, but if Weeb Slayer wanted the Puck, I don't think there's any harm in picking it 17 if they wanted to. So I guess that's fair. Then they picked this Legion Commander. I think as probably as an attempt to counter PA more than anything. I don't know. The thing with both Legion and Axe is that if you don't get that initiation with your taunt and your blade mail, you do just die to the PA. But I don't know if I can actually think of a better counter off the top of my head. I'm just not crazy about Legion in general, I guess, which is why I'm kind of looking at it for an excuse to pick something else. But it's a lot of single target with, and it's a lot of BKB piercing lockdown, but maybe not a lot of BKB piercing damage. Because SB and LC both very single target. Grim is literally the opposite of single target. I guess he turns single target into multiple targets, which is kind of nice. I think it's kind of weird with the Legion duel, though. I don't remember how that works. I think it's kind of fucked. Yeah, I guess I can't complain too much, actually. That seems fine. Then they pick the We Lookum IO. Carry IO, I don't know. The hero's weird to me. It's like, it either seems completely unstoppable, or it seems really stupid. Looks like he's incorporated a MKB into his build, probably because they just really lack damage to kill this PA once she has BKB. I don't know if that's ideal though. I don't know if you want to be getting MKB on Gary IO. He theoretically should know more than me, but then last pick a DP for Weep Slayer, which I like. It's good against the Puck in theory. It's good hero in general for sure. I like that he's gone a sensible build here. The BKB and the Shivas, I do not want to die. I want to be able to damage people with my sucks and my ult. I don't like it when I see like DPs getting early ags. They get like second, third item ags, and then they're just vulnerable to either physical damage or spells. Especially if I am like watching the game and literally watching a DP like die to physical burst or die to nukes over and over again, and they don't have a BKB or they don't have an armor item. So I'm always a fan to see that. But anyway, yeah, this game was looking quite nice for Barrel's team. Although that being said, they never managed to break the high ground, which is interesting. I guess the Snapfire and the Sand King are pretty nice at defending high ground. As is Mag if you can get a good RP for counter initiation. So I don't. Is that what happened here? Are these high ground pushes where they're all dying? I imagine that's what's happening here. Um, clicking doesn't do anything, does it? No. So, all right. I don't know. It's an okay looking PA. It's a weird PA game because on one hand you can absolutely blow up any of these heroes, and on the other hand they can control you super hard. But I mean, I guess it worked out. Got too big to fail. They definitely lack late game here. I mean, PA is an incredibly good late game hero, and on the Radiant side, they don't really have any late game heroes. So once they began failing these high ground pushes, it was just GG, I guess. Even though they managed to hold on for a while, they did get some, and they got some phantom kills on the PA here. But I don't know, boss. I think this is a game you'd really have to watch to know exactly what happened, because it looks quite odd. So. On to the game I watched then. I guess I can give my opinion more on. I think LC is just a comfort pick for this guy, isn't it? Picking it a lot. Alright, this game was very strange to watch. First pick Techies out of barrel, which was terrible. I never want to see that again. Then we saw the Tide pick. Can't complain about a Tide. Juggernaut. Everyone's picking the early Juggernaut. With the Ursa and the PA, man, it's actually a very nice Jug game. I'm sure that's intentional. 8th pick, Snapfire for cats. Cats like Snap. Zeus ban, somewhat interesting. I guess it's a Bodmas focus ban. We see the Grim ban. We see a Silencer ban. Kind of weird, honestly. I don't entirely understand these, but I'm sure they're good reason. We see a bunch of stuff aimed at Phantom. The Terrorblade, the PL, and the Wraith King. Somewhat interesting bans, honestly. Been a while since I've seen a TB. I guess he plays the hero. I'm sure they're paying attention to what he's playing in pubs. We see a Bane pick, which is incredible against the Jug. We see a very strange Gyro pick, which is something that Barrel I think has been teching out, the support Gyro. Although Barrel didn't end up playing it this game, interestingly. I think he has been doing it in pubs, kind of seeing if he can make it work. Because why not? It's fun, you know? Then we see an AM pick, which is very nice against the Jug. Very nice against the Techies, and very nice against the Gyro, I think. Especially if you think it's a support Gyro. Maybe it'd be a little iffy against carry Gyro with the Ags, but that wasn't happening here, so who cares? And then we see a Legion pickup, which is obviously very good against the AM, and something that Mommy Jesus seems to like. Void Spirit, Storm Spirit ban, Puck, DP bans. Everyone's just banning out the mids, the normal mids. Then we get a mid Ricky pick, for, I guess just to counter the AM. It's definitely a little strange, but I think it seems to have worked out okay. I mean, he lost, but it seems like the Ricky pick worked out okay. And then we see a Razor pick from Weep Slayer, which I don't really like, to be honest. I did not love the Razor pick. I did not love seeing the Razor in game. It really didn't seem like it did much. I don't think it's incredibly good against Ricky. He just kind of blinks away. It's technically kind of good against Jug, but I think with the AM, you really wanted a hero that could run around and kill things. I'm not really sure if Razor's that hero, especially with how much escape there is on the Radiant side. With the way the Ricky can just get out, the Jug can potentially spin out if the Bane can't grip him. I was not crazy about the Razor pick, but the the Radiant draft definitely looks a lot jankier. I think they were very reliant on this LC to counter the AM. Because Ricky only works for so long if they're not able to push the high ground, which they really struggled to do, even with their lead. They just kind of lack building damage outside of the techies, to be honest. They have like Jug who can hit buildings, obviously, like most carries can, but it's not like a spell building damage. It's not like a Shaman or a DP. The only thing they had for that was techies, and the techies play left much to be desired. The Gyro was kind of cool for a while, until it kind of stopped being anything. But I think they're pretty reliant on Mommy Jesus to maybe have a better game. The 15-minute the Blade Mail rush that turned out to be very late into 20-minute Blink was a little iffy. Although he did definitely end up getting Phantom a couple times eventually, which was good. I remember this jungle gank right after the Blink was bought. That was very effective. But overall it was kind of weird actually because I felt like the Phantom Cats team honestly had the ability to do stuff earlier. It was kind of like Phantom was off doing his own thing, trying to farm and trying to avoid any kind of interaction with other heroes. Like even when I think it was probably just free kills, man had no desire to look at other heroes on the map. The other four players just seemed all over the place, this game at least. There's some very interesting. There was a very interesting Ravage onto no one. Weeb Slayer just looked kind of unable to do anything. I'm not really sure what the supports were doing at any point in time. It was just a bunch of madness where they'd kind of run around and Radiant would get some kills on them. And they would maybe get some kills back. And Phantom would be hitting creeps. And that was just the game. It was just Phantom got very big and Phantom showed up and won. I do think they could have just done better early game though. I don't think there was any reason for the early game to go as bad as it did. I think the idea of just having Phantom mindlessly farm is not bad. Like, that's definitely going to win you games if Phantom can get big and carry. But there's no reason that the early game had to be that sloppy, and the other heroes had to look that confused, I think. So, that's my takeaway. I think we may be seeing more of these kind of wins out of them if they aren't able to clean it up, where they do just kind of lose the early game, but eventually Phantom gets online and they win the game. Because that does work, especially against teams that are unable to push high ground like Browse was this week. But if they can't clean up the early game a bit, I think they might end up struggling a bit against the upper teams. When we played them, for example, I mean, it was basically there was a game where we were able to get on top of Phantom, and there was a game where we weren't able to get on top of Phantom. But either way, the early game was very easy. It was just kind of whether we were able to deal with him or not, I think. I don't know. I may be misremembering a bit there, actually, but this week at least, it looks like they just kind of flopped in the early game and had to just wait for Phantom to get online, which is, not ideal. Not ideal. Wins them games, but not ideal. Um, last one, Nick versus Princess. Nick did the stupid ticket thing again, so I'm only looking at one game. I'm being nice this time. I'm not looking at no games. I'm looking at one game. All right, they basically just push stratted them, and then Princess picked a Sven, which is so strange. Like, what year is it? See an Alk ban, we see a Pango ban. I like the Alk ban against Nick's team a lot, especially when the 8th pick. But it's also not a surprise to see the LD pick up, as that's a favorite, I think, of this guy. We see a Clock pick, which is a little weird given that it's kind of countered by Rubik. But it is quite nice against the Witch Doctor, I guess. Maybe a comfort hero for this person. Dunno. Maybe in better heroes. The other Phoenix player, I'm a pretty big fan of the Phoenix plus the Bear, but I guess they already have Oracle plus Bear, so Phoenix would be kind of overkill. The lockdown's not bad. Not sure if Clock was the best option, but it's there. It's there. Thrillhouse takes an Underlord. We see a Lycan, which turns out to be Jackman's Lycan, which he absolutely owned on this game. We see a Storm and an Ursa ban, followed by a Sven pick. I don't know why you're picking Sven in the year of our Lord 2021. This hero was taken out back and shot in the head by Frog himself. God, this hero is bad. And then we see a Drow pick. Very nice against the Sven, very nice against the Viper, very nice against the Underlord. Works in with this push strat they have going. Really just a great pick. I love the Drow pick, actually. I think it just, it's everything you want. Everything you want. The build's a little funky, but it's fine. The blink against Sven's nice if you can get it off. Not that Sven actually ever got nags. So, but it's still nice for dodging the normal projectile too. So yeah, I don't know. I think given the players involved and given the strengths and weaknesses of the players, I think this is a pretty big draft win for Uncanny, or whatever their real name is. Dodally shit, or whatever it is. Totally handicapped, that's it. Jackman going off in the Lycans. Interesting to see, given it doesn't look like a very good Lycan game to me, but what do I know? But that's nice. That's good to see. It's good to see Jackman carrying some games, given that he is the highest MMR player on this team, and by far the highest MMR core. I think he's higher than Series, actually. Have I misspoken? He's actually second highest then. Series is highest, but he's still the highest MMR core. It looks like Series had a pretty good game too, but winning that lane with Dro. But maybe that's not super surprising. It's a pretty easy lane. Yeah, pulling it off regardless. Yeah, I mean, this just looks really nice. They have that lone druid they love. They have the push to go with it. I don't know what Princess is doing with the Sven pick, to be honest. I also kind of hate Underlord as a hero. No initiation. You don't really have initiation on the supports. I mean, you have Rubik, but I don't know if Matty Boy Rubik's gonna be your big dick initiator. Man's gone Ghost Scepter instead of Blink. It's a rough game for sure. Yeah. They end up losing, and Kenny ends up losing the second game pretty hard, I think. But they always have this wildcard factor. I think Nick's drafts always look a little crazy, but this one actually looks very solid. Once again, just love the Dro pick. The Lycan and Clock are a little weird, but they worked out very well. Once again, I think just picking to his player's strengths. So no complaints. Pretty good stuff. Sven Omega Lol. Princess team maybe looking a little shaky. Let's finish up this tier list. I don't necessarily want to move Barrel down. I do want to move Princess down though. I think Princess has just been having a really rough time. I think in theory they should be winning more games than they are. They definitely have the player strength. They're just shit's going wrong. They aren't able to consistently win. I think the Phantom Cats team is actually quite solid. The early game's a mess, but it's the early game's a mess, but Phantom can carry regardless. And if Phantom's carrying regardless and Weep Slayer can potentially go off some games, then they at least have a chance. I think they're at least okay. And if even better yet, they can clean up that early game and play a somewhat normal game of Dota, then I think they'll be pretty solid. Barrel's team's doing quite bad, but I still have a lot of faith in them. It seems like they just had some very basic problems to figure out. I still think Nick's team is maybe too unpredictable. They're kind of like in the same category as Princess, maybe, where it's like they do very well one game and then the other game they just kind of implode. Maniac's team seems to have completely, Maniac can move down even further actually. I think Maniac's team is just completely imploded at this point. They're losing games left and right. I don't know. 700 MR down, Pepe laugh. It's not hot. Brent's team's also a little like crazy, but I don't think he's as. I think he has higher ups than these two teams. What is the actual standings? I don't have them anywhere on here, so I guess we just won't know. Shall we move on to predictions? What's this? Let's move on to predictions. Week 5. Wrap this video up. Week 5 we have Yop versus Cryptic. It's the game to watch. It's the two teams with one loss, 7-1 each. This will determine which one of them gets the first seed and which one of them gets the second seed for the bracket, which I guess I'll have to make for next week. This is a pretty tough one, honestly. Cryptic's team has been doing very well. I think part of that is just that the high MMR thing is working very well for him. They don't seem to be struggling too much with the role swaps. I think the difficult part for him this week is that this is one of the few teams that actually kind of matches him in MMR. So, unlike the Yumi team where Cryptic just has a massive MMR advantage in 3 different roles, Yop's team actually matches up decently head to head. I think I have like Cryptic's drafting more though. I think Cryptic has much scarier heroes he likes to pick. Not that Yelp's drafting has been bad, but Like I feel like Cryptic's drafts always look rather scary. Like they can always do stuff early. Um, Bible Man and the Dude, I think, are players to kind of watch for because I think those are the players that are gonna make things happen early. And I think whatever happens early will just dictate the game. And I think I just have a little more faith in something like the Dude Earth Spirit than I do with something like Bible Man Night Stalker. I think Cryptic's been doing very well mid. I kind of want to give an edge to Cryptic. I almost want to go 1-1, but I don't know. I'm gonna give it to Cryptic. I'm gonna be a believer. I think they've been doing very well. I think they've been playing like Dota, you know. I think what at least makes for me these kind of leagues fun is that often the times it isn't really Dota. It's some like weird fucked up form of Dota because you got to deal with the large MMR spread. The Cryptic's team is just kind of just Dota. They just pick heroes, they run at you, they do stuff. Um, I guess the one thing that might be a weakness for Cryptic is if the game goes like late and Yop and Eno are farmed and big and scary. And I mean, Loose Moose I don't think is as good as a carry as Eno or Yop, especially not as good as Yop. But I think the early game's just going to be way too strong from Cryptic. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll drop the ball. Us versus Yumi. Did we scrim Yumi? I feel like I scrimmed Yumi. How did that go? I think we lost those scrims. Um, I think this is just going to be down to whether or not we can put pressure on Yumi. I'm going to go 1-1 personally. Um, I think it might be kind of a replay of like the Phantom games, where the game comes down to whether or not we can shut down their greedy players, either Yumi or Scrimlight, depending on their picks. I think if they both go greedy, we might. Like if they go for double greed 2 games in a row, maybe we can 2-0. But I'm not super convinced we can shut down Yumi twice in a row, or Scrimlight, depending on which one's going to be greedy. Um, it didn't happen with Phantom. Uh, it didn't really happen in our scrims against them either. So I think we're still a little shaky sometimes. But I wouldn't be super surprised by a 2-0 either way. But I think 1-1 is probably most likely. Cass versus Luth. I still have a lot of faith in the Luth team. It's possible that they just like kind of implode here and fail to put pressure to either end the game or to shut down Phantom and just lose to the Cats team, but I don't know. Despite them having a rough week this week and getting pretty decisively 2-0'd, I still think the Luth team looks very good on paper if they can just pull it out. I think that's an easy 2-0 for them, but I don't know. I think if they lose this week, I just kind of lose all faith in their ability to do well in playoffs. I think it probably shows that the team's like falling apart. We'll see. Harb versus Nick. Harb needs to not get like meme drafted on. He needs to not get owned by the Alk or the Lone Druid or the push strats. And if he doesn't get owned by those, I think he can probably just carry the game. So I'll give him a 2-0. I'll believe in Harb to be able to outwit Nick. I think this one will honestly come down to draft more than any other game. Because Harb needs to be in a position where he isn't just like getting dunked on by players a third of his MMR basically. And I think the only way that should happen is if they're able to get these very comfortable, somewhat cheesy heroes that they've been doing very well on, or if Jackman can carry a game. Otherwise, I think Harb's really hit his stride recently. I think he's figured out how to make his team work. Um, and if he can just make his team work, I think his team in good condition is probably better than Nick's team in good condition, as long as Nick doesn't have some like push strat or alk shit going on. Maniac versus Brent. I think Maniac's spent. Maniac's dead. Maniac's imploded. They could bring it back. Brent's team's a massive question mark in what they do. I think they're all over the place, but that's probably an easy 2-0. Maniac's team just had an incredibly rough time. And Barrel versus Princess. This one's also pretty rough. I feel like I liked Princess's team on better on paper by quite a lot at the beginning of the season, but Oh, they've been having such a hard time. I think Barrel could beat them here. Barrel's team's been looking more consistent, even though they've had a lot of losses. Barrel's team only has like 2 wins. Like I don't know why I have so much faith in them. They even had hard matchups. They faced Luth, Yumi, and Harb. They beat Harb. So they beat Harb, lost to Yumi, lost to Luth, which I think is fair. It's not too bad. Then they lost to Cats, which was a bit surprising. But I believe in Barrel here. It could be a 1-1. 1-1 might be safer. I'm gonna give him a 2-0 though. I don't know. I think the Barrel team's a bit more well-rounded. Princess team seems more reliant on Princess or JD having a good game. I don't think they've really figured out how to work together as a team that well. And even though Barrel's team has definitely been a bit messy, really lacking in the win department, I don't think they look that bad in game. They kind of look fine. They just kind of need to fix the high ground push. That's it. But it's easier said than done. But you know, I believe in them, and that's that. Not a lot of predictions. Everyone's dead. Pepe hands. Maybe we'll see some last minute predictions tomorrow afternoon. That would be nice. But otherwise, that's it. Oh yuck! I had a line here the whole time. Why'd no one tell me? All right. Well, anyway, see you next week. And have fun tomorrow.